Well, welcome again, everyone. Good morning. I'm Kara, for those of you that I have not yet met. And in keeping with the theme of the Fakebook series that we're in right now, I am going to keep it real with y'all for a little minute this morning and share a little bit of my story, if that's okay. So about 4 years ago now, I went through a divorce, and it was painful and ugly, as most divorces are, but there was a particularly public and humiliating element to my experience that made it especially challenging for me. I tend to be more of a private person, and I like to at least create the illusion that I am in control at all times, and I like to present a pretty little polished picture, as unrealistic as that may be most of the time. I went through some experiences growing up early on in my life that left me feeling powerless and took away my control. And I think growing up, I tried to overcompensate a little for that lack of control that I felt, and I ended up trying to control all of the little things that I could. And as I became a wife and a mother and took on more responsibilities and things got a little crazier, I tried even more to control all the little things, and that feeling intensified. And as I completely lost control of my marriage and it disintegrated, I felt that those needs then started to become like obsessions. And I could not sleep at night until I knew that all the towels in that closet were folded a certain way and color coordinated, and that the dirty dishes were in the dishwasher a certain way. And if they weren't, I would take them out and put them back in the way that I felt they needed to be. And all the remote controls and the magazines, they needed to look a certain way. And it was exhausting. And throughout my divorce, as things went forward, I found myself then in this situation where my now ex-husband is living over 100 miles away, but I'm still a mom, and I'm still here, and I have these two kids that need me. And I got to wake up every day and change diapers and feed them and bathe them and carry on. And I was determined this whole time to carry on this way, still trying to present that pretty little picture. It was a different picture now than it was before, but I'm fine and they're fine and everything's fine. And I just got all the more exhausted. And for me to be able to carry on in this way, that meant that I needed to avoid all of the people in my life that genuinely loved me and wanted to help. Because if I slowed down to be vulnerable and to feel some feels that I didn't want to feel, then I was going to fall apart, and that I'd never be able to put myself back together again. So I chose to seek comfort in some other people and vices that ultimately only made things more complicated for me. And I made some choices that I'm not very proud of. So I finally hit a wall, and I knew that I couldn't carry on like this anymore. And I accepted an invitation from a friend of mine that invited me here to GCC. And I had been to church before. I grew up in church, so that was not anything that was new for me. But this experience here, this relationship that I felt growing with Jesus, that was something new, and it was powerful. And on that first day, I sat right back there in that corner, and I felt some feels, y'all. I fell apart, and I sobbed throughout the entire service. And I felt like every word out of the pastor's mouth that day that I was meant to be hearing it. And it ended up being a weekend where Pastor Beeson was inviting people to come forward to publicly acknowledge their faith. And I had no idea what that meant, but I was in. Where do I go? What do I do? Where do I sign? And so I kind of followed everyone else's lead, and we made our way down this aisle, and then we ended up in this row across the front of the stage, and the band was playing, and it was incredibly powerful, and I'm still sobbing. And Pastor Beeson started to make his way down this aisle of those of us that came forward that day, and I find him in front of me, and I don't know him, and he doesn't know me, but I hear him say the words, "I'm proud of you." And I remember thinking, like, if you only knew, because I was not proud of myself. I was disgusted and humiliated and tired. I was just really tired of carrying all of that and always trying to have to control everything. And but with that physical pain that I felt feeling him say those words, there was this incredible sense of relief that I didn't have to hold on to it anymore. I didn't have to carry all of that I could give it up to God. And so after that day, I decided that I needed to surround myself with this place and these people as much as possible. And I got involved in the divorce care group that was here at GCC, and it was hard work. I had to be vulnerable and feel some things that I really had tried so hard to avoid for so long, but it was well worth it. And I volunteered and auditioned for the worship band. And then on a Mother's Day Sunday a couple years ago, I was baptized. And it was an incredible experience. But by no means, on that day that I decided to follow Christ, did my life become sunshine and rainbows and unicorns from that point forward, and all my problems went away. I just have been able to shift my perspective of what my problems are. And I choose now to believe that I'm blessed to be stressed. I'm blessed to be stressed. My children are still exhausting. I'm tired still, all the time. That hasn't changed. But I don't have to change diapers anymore, and they can pretty much bathe themselves at this point, so that's a plus. But it's still hard every day, and every day I pray, how am I going to do it? How's that going to get paid? How's this going to get done? But it happens because I look up, and I choose to believe and know that truth, that God is always there throughout it all, that I have to do is trust that he has a plan for me, and it is to prosper, and it is to persevere. And what a blessing that is. So we're going to sing a song next. We're going to sing a song next that is all about that truth and that promise that our God is always there. And that promise is true. So if you would, please stay on your feet and sing with us.